Will somebody tell me if we're supposed to start the program?
Freeman hits the ball to right field.
Into right field. She is done!
Oh, what a pass! Doncic, perfection there on the assist. A little magic from Doncic.
Stafford takes the shoulders, takes a shot downfield. It is caught by Nakua. He pinned him on his shoulder and made the catch.
One of a kind player. One of a kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
This game's in the Admiral refrigerator. The door is closed, the lights out. Butter's getting hard, the eggs are cooling, and the jello is jiggling.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the LA Sports Roundup podcast. My name is Mike Andrade, your host. We're sitting here recording live Thursday morning, February 12th, 2026. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. If you have a loved one, make sure you do your part in getting them some roses, get them some candy. Even if they're telling you, do not get me anything, you bet your ass you got to get them something. Trust me, it's going to be an argument coming up if you don't. So get them something. And also, if you don't have a significant other or anybody to buy Valentine's Day stuff for, just treat yourself. Get yourself something nice, because you know why? You deserve it. Do you know what else you deserve? You deserve to follow us, like, subscribe, and hit us up on all of our social medias at Lace 'em Up Sports. Guys, we are trying to continue to spike up our subscriber count, so do your part. If you're listening to this podcast, if you haven't, like, subscribe, followed us on all of our social medias at Lace 'em Up Sports, on X, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, obviously on Spotify. Make sure you're doing your part to fulfill our numbers, and it is much, much appreciated by myself, and I cannot thank you guys enough for doing so. Lots of stuff going on in the world of LA sports. We're going to be talking a lot of Rams, Stafford winning the MVP, Rob Haven signs retirement, the Rams and the 49ers playing a game in Melbourne, Australia this year, and the Rams hiring Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator. And then we're also going to be talking a little bit of Lakers with Luka Doncic's injury, the All-Star game coming up, and then we're going to get into some Dodgers news as spring training is right around the corner. The Dodgers have re-signed Evan Phillips. They still haven't re-signed Kike Hernandez, and some craziness going on in the world of Yasiel Puig. Have you guys heard about all that stuff? But before we get into all of that, the latest Wrestling with Ryan and Mike podcast is out and available. We're talking all things fallout from the Royal Rumble. We're talking stuff that's been going on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, AEW. If you guys are professional wrestling fans, make sure it's on our channels, Wrestling with Ryan and Mike. It is the number one stop for all things professional wrestling. Last Sunday, we watched the Super Bowl. We watched the Seattle Seahawks defeat the New England Patriots in one of the worst, most boring Super Bowls that there's ever been, really, at least in my lifetime. I mean, I can't really remember another Super Bowl that was so boring. I mean, maybe one people can relate to was, unfortunately, was my Rams getting defeated by the New England Patriots back in 2018. But other than that, I can't really remember a Super Bowl being as boring as it was. At least the halftime show by Bad Bunny was entertaining enough. And look, if you're one of those people that watched the Kid Rock and the whole Turning Point USA halftime Super Bowl, to each his own. You know, we're no judges around here. We're not going to be no Judge Judys. To each his own. But you know who was the better halftime show. We all know. But into the news and notes of this past week, we're going to get right into the big news of last week. Matthew Stafford, Rams quarterback, winning the Associated Press's Most Valuable Player Award for the 2025 National Football League season. I'm going to read you a little bit of a write-up from Rams.com. Stafford on Thursday was named the 2025 Associated Press's NFL MVP, announced at the NFL Honors. It is his first MVP award of his 17-year career. So what I'm going to do right now, guys, I'm going to play you a clip of Matthew Stafford at the awards banquet receiving his MVP honor, and we're going to listen to what he had to say on stage with his 4 daughters receiving the award.
Right there. I I just want to start saying thank you. I'm so humbled to be here tonight in front of so many great people, great players, coaches that make this league so special. Just to be in the same breath as you guys is an amazing feeling for me. I want to start from the beginning, kind of for me, my mom, my dad, my sister, the support you guys showed me growing up, taking me to the park, the endless hours and time that you spent helping me chase my dream means the world to me. It's the reason I'm standing here today. To the Rams organization, Mr. Kroenke, Josh, everybody, given the opportunity to play for an unbelievable organization. It's an amazing feeling, and I appreciate that. Les, Kevin, Tony, all you guys, always getting a team together for me and our team to go out there and compete and play at a high level is something we don't take for granted in this league. Sean, a great friend of mine and the best damn leader of men I've ever been around. I am blessed to play for you and work with you, man. It is an unbelievable partnership and something I'm so proud to be a part of. To the guys in the locker room, a lot of people have said it, but truly mean it for me. I mean, my name's going to be on this trophy, but there's so many guys. A lot of you here today, and I appreciate the heck out of you for being here. Your name should be on there too with me, and I really appreciate that. This team was really special. It didn't end the way we wanted it to, but man, I'll never forget it. And you guys mean the world to me. And to my favorite people in the whole world, starting with my wife over there. It's going to be hard for me. Kelly, you're unbelievable what you do for our family, the way you support me, the way you support these kids. Shoot, they got guys in the audience tonight know how she supports everybody that's involved in my life, and she's my rock. I want to let you know the sacrifices. I see you. I love you. I appreciate you very much. And to my 4 beautiful daughters, who I'm lucky enough to be sharing the stage with. Give it up for them, huh? Chandler, Sawyer, Hunter, Tyler. I'm so happy to be able to teach the blessings and those lessons of this game to you guys, through you guys. You're unbelievable cheerleaders for me. I appreciate it. I am so happy to have you at the games on the sideline with me, and I can't wait for you to cheer me on next year when we're out there kicking ass. And so I'll see you guys next year. Hopefully I'm not at this event, and we're getting ready for another game in SoFi. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, you heard it. Words from QB1 of the LA Rams, Matthew Stafford, and congrats. Again, I know I made a video posting to our social medias congratulating him, but I want to take this moment on congratulating our quarterback, Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams, on winning the MVP. What a tremendous honor for his career, and really solidifies his Hall of Fame career in general. You know, he spent all those years in Detroit, and he was a good quarterback for them, a really good quarterback, but could never really move the needle in terms of being competitive and being a championship team, during his time there. And, we made that trade from getting rid of Jared Goff and taking a gamble on a guy that was maybe on the other side of the hill. And we weren't sure how it was going to work out in terms of how it was going to move the needle for us to get to that next level in terms of us being a Super Bowl contending team. Because we had went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, but then it kind of quickly fell apart with him. And so we made the move to trade with Detroit to get Matthew Stafford in. And then we built that championship roster in 2021-22 to get us to the Super Bowl. We had guys like Odell Beckham Jr., we had Von Miller. Of course, Aaron Donald was at the prime of his career at that point, and Matthew Stafford was our QB1. And we got the job done. We beat the Cincinnati Bengals in that Super Bowl to win it all. And then it seemed like at that point we were going to rebuild, and it didn't seem like we were going to be competitive. But we got lucky in getting a guy like Puka Nacua to not only to draft him, but like to develop him. And we just started adding in younger pieces, and those younger pieces ended up being really good and getting us into not only the playoffs, but being a contending team. And look at this year. Look at the valuable pieces this year on so many of our young guys. You talk about a Kyron Williams. You talk about a Jared Verse. Look at so many of these guys on our squad that are just hitting their stride right now in terms of their NFL careers. And the Rams are very, very fortunate to have that team built around Matthew Stafford. And look at the pieces Matthew Stafford has been able to throw to. And then not only that, bringing in like a veteran like Devontae Adams. That took us back into Super Bowl contention. So, Matthew Stafford, He had a great season. He had a lot of weapons at his disposal this year, but, you got to give all the credit to him. We didn't know what his back injury was going to be, and we didn't know where that was going to take him in terms of his production this year. It was definitely a very much an ailment that was very much concerning, but he powered through it, and he had an MVP season. So congrats again to Matthew Stafford, and he said in that on stage, he's looking forward to coming back next year. And I think with all the pieces that we have, we're going to be right there back into contention into the NFC. And so if all stays healthy, Matthew Stafford, including himself, and all the pieces that we could potentially pick up along the way in terms of bringing us back into contention, I think we're going to be okay. And the Rams are already making changes to their coaching staff going into the 2026 offseason, and they're going to be bringing in former offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, Cliff Kingsbury, former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. He coached there from 2019 to 2022, is being hired by the LA Rams and is going to be on Coach McVay's coaching staff. And it's still unknown what spot Kingsbury is going to fill, but I think all people are betting that he's going to fill the void of Michael Flohr, who accepted the position of head coach, actually the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. But yeah, Kingsbury is pretty much set to fill in the offensive coordinator role, whom he was coordinator with the Washington Commanders. And I think it's going to be a great fit for the Rams. I think, it's going to be a guy that is respected around the league. Matthew Stafford is going to have a respected offensive coordinator, and I think it's going to be a really good fit for Coach McVay, and probably to get him to groom him into another head coaching spot around the league. So the Rams making changes on their coaching staff, but one guy the Rams will not be with next season is long-term offensive lineman Rob Havenstein. Havenstein announced his retirement, doing so via Instagram on Tuesday afternoon. Wow, 11 years, 150 starts, 4-time captain, 4 NFC West championships, and 2 NFC championships, plus 1 Super Bowl. What a ride, he posted. I can look back on my career and smile, knowing that I have given everything I had to the game I love, he wrote on his Instagram post. But yeah, what a career for Rob Havenstein. It's sad to see him go. He's one of the OGs on this team, no doubt one of the captains from the offensive line, and we're going to miss him. We're going to miss his tenacity out there. And, you could see the writing on the wall a little bit. I think he was injured for a better portion of this season. And, kind of like an Andrew Whitworth, you didn't know when and where he was going to retire. But what a career for this guy. And he's going out on a high note. Obviously not the highest note. The highest note would have been the Super Bowl. But he's going out on a high note on his own 2 legs. Because a lot of guys, the game dictates it for them. Whether it be injuries, whether it be something else, or they're just not signed to a team, they don't get to dictate when they retire. So Rob Havenstein going out on a high note in the playoffs with the Rams, but going out on his own 2 legs and making the decision for himself. What a career for Rob Havenstein, and we wish him nothing but the best in the immediate future and long-term future as well. So the Rams will be without Rob Havenstein, as the National Football League today announced that the Rams will take on the San Francisco 49ers in the first ever NFL regular season game in Australia as part of the NFL's multi-year commitment to play a regular season game in Melbourne. This was announced on therams.com and announced via the National Football League, their press conference and their statements sent out throughout their social medias as well. But yeah, no official date has been announced. Usually the NFL likes to run these out of the United States games. Like the Rams played Jacksonville in London last year. Usually they like to run them around week 4 to week 8. So look for a time between then. I can't imagine it would be any time after week 8, as we get closer and closer to the postseason. And I couldn't imagine it being especially week 1 or week 2. So yeah, between week 3 and not week 3, but week 4 and 8, I think that would be the best available dates for the Rams to take the 49ers to Australia and beat them down under. And last little tidbits here about the Rams. Wide receiver Puka Nacua finishes 3rd in 2025 AP Offensive Player of the Year voting. Nacua received 170 points and 8 first place votes, while Seahawks wide receiver J.S. Sen won the award, but this is a huge accomplishment for Puka Nacua, getting that close into winning the award himself. This only solidifies that Puka Nacua was one of the top elite wide receivers this past season, and next year his trajectory is going to continue to be on the rise, not only just for the Rams, but in total of the way he's looked at as one of the core wide receivers of this league. What will be the 75th edition of the NBA All-Star Game, which will take place in Los Angeles this upcoming Sunday at the Intuit Dome, home of the LA Clippers. The All-Star Game is now USA versus the world. This is once again a new format for the NBA All-Star Game, one of the many formats we've seen over the last several years for the All-Star Game in order to pique interest for fan viewership and just overall excitement for the All-Star Game, which has been lost very much so over the last decade or so. But I'm going to read you a little bit on what's Wikipedia saying about this new format for the All-Star Game. So it's going to consist of a 3-team round-robin tournament with the top 2 teams then advancing to a championship game. And I guess this is all going to take place on Sunday. The 2 teams composed of American players and one of international players were drafted by the league from a pool of 24 selected through a voting process. So the 3 head coaches for the teams are going to be J.B. Bickerstaff from the Detroit Pistons. It's going to be Mitch Johnson, head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, which is so weird to say because all these years they had Greg Popovich, who was the head coach and pretty much the general manager of the team. Now for somebody else to be at the helm of that head coaching position in San Antonio, it's a little weird, a little jarring to say, but Mitch Johnson, head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, and head coach of the Toronto Raptors, Darko Rakovic. I hope I pronounced his name right. So looking at the starters here, and it's kind of interesting because they do split them up into Eastern Conference and Western Conference, kind of like the old school way they used to do this. I'll read you the Eastern Conference All-Star starters, and I'll read you the Western Conference All-Star starters as well. But it's kind of weird because that's not necessarily the starters who will be taking place in the game as well. So for the Eastern Conference, you have Giannis, you have Jaylen Brown, you have Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, and Tyrese Maxey, with the reserves being Scotty Barnes, Jalen Duren, Brandon Ingram, Jalen Johnson, Donovan Mitchell, Norman Powell from the Heat, Pascal Siakam, and Karl Anthony Towns. On the Western Conference side, you have Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, and Victor Wembanyama, who are your starters. And the reserves, Denny Advija from the Portland Trailblazers, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Chet Holmgren, LeBron James in his 22nd NBA All-Star game, Kawhi Leonard from the Clippers, Jamal Murray, and Alfred Sengun. Now, it's weird because you have two separate teams for Team USA. You have USA Stars and you have USA Stripes. So USA Stars, the starters are going to be Cade Cunningham and Tyrese Maxey. For USA Stripes, the second team, it's going to be Jaylen Brown and Jalen Brunson. And I believe so for USA Stars, the reserves are going to be Scotty Barnes, Devin Booker, Jalen Duren, Anthony Edwards, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Johnson. And for USA Stripes, it's going to be Kevin Durant, Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Donovan Mitchell, and Norman Powell. On the Team World side, look at this. This is going to be crazy. Look at this lineup right here. I'm not quite sure if this is going to be 2-on-2 or however this is going to be, but the starters are Giannis Antetokounmpo and Luka Doncic, and then Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama. I mean, my God. To me, it's really easy. The Team World should dominate this. I don't see in any fashion how Team World does not dominate these guys on paper and during the game in physical life. Because look at Giannis and Luka on the same team. This is a Lakers fan's dream here, okay? But Jokic and Wembanyama, my God, the damage they can do on the court together. Crazy. But that's going to be the main event on Sunday. On Saturday, it's going to be All-Star Saturday night in LA as well. And we have some Lakers representation in the slam dunk contest. We are going to have Jackson Hayes, Lakers center, pulling out all the stops in the slam dunk contest. So it's going to be pretty cool to see him out there wearing a Lakers uniform. Previous notable winners for the Lakers, obviously, we got to go with our boy Kobe back in 1997, winning the slam dunk contest. He is the most notable Laker to ever win it. But we all remember the blunder that was Shannon Brown back in 2011 or whatever it was. And I think Dwight Howard, when he was a Laker, was he in the slam dunk contest? I know Dwight won it, but that was when he was a part of the Orlando Magic. But I think Dwight, maybe 2022, 2021, around there, he was in the slam dunk contest as a Laker. I can't really remember. But Jackson Hayes, good luck out there representing the Lakers, and hopefully he takes that slam dunk contest trophy home. Also, going back into the All-Star game, we don't know if Luka Doncic is going to play. He's been out the last several games dealing with a hamstring injury, so it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything too concerning. He has sat out the last 2 games in both of our losses. He's sat out. But he's not going to play also Thursday against the Dallas Mavericks. So it'll be interesting to see if he does play during the All-Star game. I can imagine if he does, it's not going to be very long out there, considering the fact that, look, we don't want these guys playing on any kind of injury, let alone a hamstring injury. So basically, if he does play, I think it's going to be limited minutes. But it'll be pretty cool to see him out there representing the Lakers during the All-Star game on Sunday evening. And heading into some Dodgers news, spring training is here. It is right here for us guys. The offseason just went like this, like a snap. I mean, 2-3 months and that's it? I mean, I cannot believe we're already back into baseball season, but pitchers and catchers are reporting on Friday, and spring training is right here. We have our first spring training game on February 21st, and there's quite a bit of news going into spring training. Not only that, we have the World Baseball Classic that's going to be happening this year, and there's quite a bit of Dodgers that are going to be playing in this year's World Baseball Classic. I can read you some of the list here that are going to be expecting to play. You got some big names, not so big names, but notably you have Edwin Diaz, who's going to be playing for Puerto Rico. You have Jake Gloff, who's going to be playing for Israel. You have Sonny Kim, who's going to be playing for Korea. Antonio Knowles, who's going to be playing for Great Britain. Chandrik Oduber, who's going to be playing for the Netherlands. Shohei Ohtani, of course, playing for Japan. Will Smith playing for USA. Christian Suarez playing for Venezuela. And you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto playing for Japan as well. And then, we all thought he was retiring. He said, nah, like LA Knight. His last stop in professional baseball will be with Team USA in the World Baseball Classic as a pitcher. A relief pitcher will be Clayton Kershaw. What a way to go out for Kershaw. Not only winning the World Series as a pitcher for the Dodgers this year, but going to end his career on a high note playing for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. So exciting, really exciting stuff for the World Baseball Classic, and for Dodgers fans who are looking to see some high-intensity baseball this early on into the season. Now, going into spring training, the Dodgers have not been able to come up with a contract for Kike Hernandez. Hernandez, who has been a bright spot for the Dodgers over the last several years, a fan favorite for Dodger fans. They've made quite a few bobbleheads for Kike Hernandez. Obviously, we all know the dance that he does, and that's gotten everyone to do that little silly hip shake that he does with his arms flailing out. Everybody loves Kike Hernandez here in LA, and he's already won 3 championships with this club. I mean, that's remarkable. I mean, that's so remarkable to think about. 3 titles here in LA. Not only is he a fan favorite, but he has been such a clutch player for the Dodgers in October, and it would be a shame if the Dodgers could not come up with a contract extension for Kike Hernandez and not being able to re-sign him. There was a fan that spotted Kike Hernandez, and they asked Hernandez if he was coming back to the Dodgers, and all Hernandez could do was just shrug his shoulders and not really say anything without saying a yes or a no. But really, I think it comes down to the Dodgers just trying to figure out their roster. I mean, Hernandez is dealing with coming off of surgery, so it's one of these things where he really just needs to take his time coming back. And I think more than anything, they're going to be able to come up with a contract extension for Kike Hernandez because he's such a valuable piece into what the Dodgers have built, and it would be a real shame if they couldn't. So, again, when he was with the Boston Red Sox, we were happy for him, but he was always a Dodger. We don't want to see that this time around. We want to see him continue to put his career in LA and put on for Dodger fans like the way he knows how to. But the Dodgers are continuing to make strides into their bullpen. First, they have re-signed Evan Phillips, a guy that has been a key piece into the bullpen for the last couple of years, and I think it's a great signing. But in sad news, they have also put on assignment Anthony Banda. Banda has been another key piece into that bullpen for the Dodgers, and it's going to be sad to see Banda go. But again, they're just overflowing at that, in the bullpen position. It's a good thing. It's a good problem for the Dodgers to have, but they're overflowing in there, and I think they just really want to make sure that they have the best guys available, not only to keep healthy, but to go into the distance as well. And so we wish Anthony Banda his best wishes, best luck onto his journey wherever he may be. And I think it's just an overflow problem for the Dodgers, a really good problem for them to have. And for all of you bobblehead collectors out there, I know this is a big thing that's happening now into Dodger lore for fans all over LA. They come to games not just to watch the game, but they come to these games to collect bobbleheads, and I have seen it in person, the craziness that people will do to get their hands on one of the bobbleheads. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm sitting right in front of a Kike Hernandez bobblehead right here, but people go absolutely nuts for these things, and you should see the retail value on eBay for these things. It is astronomical. The prices people are willing to sell these things, and honestly, people are willing to buy them as well. But the Dodgers went ahead and released their bobblehead schedule for the 2026 season. On March 28th versus the Diamondbacks, you'll have Will Smith World Series Game 7 home run. March 31st versus the Guardians will be a mystery bobblehead. April 10th versus the Rangers will be Shohei Ohtani's NLCS, I guess you want to call it the best game ever bobblehead. This is going to be one of him batting, and there may be another one of him pitching sometime down the line too. But on April 25th versus the Cubs, you're going to have a Roki Sasaki bobblehead. May 8th versus the Braves, Miguel Rojas World Series Game 7 home run. On May 9th, you're going to have a Blake Snell bobblehead. May 25th versus the Rockies, you're going to have Dave Roberts. May 27th versus the Rockies, Yoshinobu Yamamoto's World Series Game 7 Final Out bobblehead. May 29th versus the Phillies, Alex Vesia bobblehead. May 30th versus the Phillies, Teoscar Hernandez bobblehead. Let me go back to Alex Vesia for a second. He's obviously, we all know what happened with Alex Vesia. Wasn't able to play in the World Series because of a tragedy that happened with his wife being pregnant, losing the baby, and we all just want to wish Alex Vesia and his wife, I hope they're doing so well off of that tragedy. And it'll be good to see Alex Vesia back playing with the Dodgers. All right, so June 6th versus the Angels, Tyler Glasnow bobblehead. June 19th versus the Orioles, Mookie Betts World Series Game 7 final double play. July 6th versus the Rockies, Freddie Freeman World Series Game 3 walk-off home run. July 8th versus the Rockies, Shohei Ohtani NLCS Game 4 pitching bobblehead. July 29th versus the Mariners, Edwin Diaz bobblehead. July 31st versus the Red Sox, Kyle Tucker will get his honorary debut as a Dodger for being a bobblehead. August 10th versus the Royals, Max Muncy World Series Game 7 home run bobblehead. August 15th versus the Brewers, Reggie Smith Legends of Dodgers Baseball bobblehead. August 22nd versus the Pirates, Shohei Ohtani pitching bobblehead. And September 25th, I think this is the last bobblehead of... No, it's not actually. But on September 5th will be Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitching. And then non-Dodgers, May 12th versus the Giants, you have Ice Cube and a lowrider. June 20th versus the Orioles, you have Shaquille O'Neal bobblehead, which I'm not even sure how that's going to look. Is it going to be Shaq in a Dodger jersey or in a Laker jersey? I don't know. But on July 11th will be LAFC soccer star Son Heung-min. He's going to have a bobblehead as well. That is a shit ton of bobbleheads for the Dodgers to be getting on, and I'm sure that they're going to be all over eBay. People are going to be charging a mortgage for these things. So get your hands on these bobbleheads while you can. Do not stomp over anybody. Do not trample anybody to get your bobbleheads. And it's so crazy because I have seen people literally buy tickets to the game just to get the bobblehead, and they walk out. They don't even stay for the game. They just walk out. That is crazy to think about. And we're going to end things on a kind of a crazy note for former Dodger Yasiel Puig. Everyone remembers Puig Mania. He was quite the character for the Dodgers back in the 2010s. But Puig is facing a lot of trouble coming up. A jury has found that former Major League outfielder Yasiel Puig, and this is from Yahoo Sports, Yasiel Puig, they found him guilty of obstruction of justice and lying to federal officials investigating an illegal gambling operation, the U.S. Attorney's Office said on Friday. The verdict came after a multi-week trial that featured testimony from Major League Baseball officials Donnie Kadawawa, a Hawaii baseball coach that Puig placed bets through. Puig now faces up to 20 years in federal prison and is scheduled to be sentenced on May 26. Holy cow. So, wow. I mean, you got to, like, looking into this. This is crazy to think about. Puig betting on games, being found guilty of obstruction of justice and lying to federal officials. This is, holy shit. This is bad for Yasiel Puig. But Puig's attorney, Curtis Axel, said the government failed to prove key elements of its case and that she plans to raise post-trial motions. We look forward to clearing Yasiel's name, Axel said. Puig, 35, initially pled guilty to a felony charge of lying to federal agents investigating an illegal gambling operation. He acknowledged in August 2022 plea agreement that he racked up more than $280,000 in losses over a few months in 2019 while wagering on tennis, football, basketball games through a third party who worked for an illegal gambling operation run by Wayne Nix, a former minor league baseball player. Nix pled guilty in 2022 to conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business and subscribing to a false tax return. He is still waiting sentencing. This is all bad here. Authorities said Puig placed at least 900 bets through Nix-controlled betting websites and through a man who worked for Nix. Prosecutors said that during a January 2022 interview with the federal investigators, Puig denied knowing about the nature of his bets, who he was betting with, and the circumstances of paying his gambling debts. So he's lying to the feds here. But he changed his tune months later, announcing that he was switching his plea to not guilty because significant new evidence, according to a statement from his attorneys in Los Angeles. So this is quote unquote, "I want to clear my name," Puig said in a statement. "I never should have agreed to the plea agreement to a crime I did not commit." The government argued that he intentionally misled federal investigators. They pled in court audio clips of Puig speaking English and brought expert witnesses to testify on Puig's cognitive abilities, the New York Times reported. His attorneys said that Puig, who is a third grade education and untreated mental health issues, did not have his own interpreter or criminal legal counsel with him during the interview with federal investigators where he purposely lied. Wow. So basically, Puig's trying to get off there by saying, hey, I have mental health issues. I only went to the third grade, which all those may be true, but you're still smart enough to know not to lie to the feds here. You know, you're not getting away with that, buddy. But later in the column here, it says, Puig's former attorney, Stephen Gebelin, testified during the January 22 interview. Puig tried to be helpful in answering the investigators' questions, and the interpreter struggled with Puig's Spanish language dialect, according to the New York Times. Yeah, I mean, look, this is something here. You know, Puig is trying to come off like he's innocent. He's trying to come off like he didn't know any better. He's trying to use this, and that, and the other. But, dude, you lied to the feds, man. This is all bad here. And, look, it'd be a shame to see this guy do a lot of time, but this is what happens when you lie to the feds on a really serious accusation here. And he's trying to get off here, and his defense attorney, they think they have enough evidence where they can clear his name. But man, it's gonna be, when you go against the feds, man, they have a lot of shit on you. So best of luck to Yasiel Puig. Hopefully he can get his name cleared here, but if not, man, it's gonna be really, really tough days for him in prison coming up. But all right, that's going to do it for today's podcast, guys. I want to thank you guys for listening in, and thank you guys for subscribing, hitting that like button, hitting that follow button, following us all over through social media, X, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you can find us, on YouTube, Spotify. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on all the major platforms. We need your subscription. And so I can't appreciate you guys enough, and I want to thank you guys for tuning into the LA Sports Roundup podcast for today. Until next week, guys, I'll see you next time, and stay safe.